Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. I'm wrapped up because it's a wintry December morning right now. But in my video yesterday, I talked about unique relic combos that can drastically, radically change how you build a champion in Raid Shadow Legends. And those were typically very high ranked relics. We're talking mythicals like Valcardiac Heart or the Lens of Intangibility, etc. Because they've got such powerful effects. They're so specific that they can lock into very specific champions to really set up some crazy synergies. In today's video, what we're going to do instead is look at the budget relics, the ones that are much more accessible. They tend to be more generic, a little bit more basic, but are things that most of you will actually be able to get at some point. Which ones do you use? Which ones are actually complete rubbish and you'd never use them? Let's go through, let's take a look. And here we go. So in the standard group, honestly, all the rares suck except for Journal of Necrotis. This is an amazing little budget relic that makes your heals and turn meter increase effects stronger. Simple and effective. There are tons of characters, particularly rares, epics, even some legendaries, that really all they're doing is healing and increasing turn meter. And this gives you a nice strong effect just from the basics. I would not be putting this up past +9, so 3-star, and that's generally going to be true for most of the relics we'll talk about today. The effect gets a little bit stronger, but it's not a huge deal. It's mostly just that base effect and the little gem socket. So yeah, I mean, slap this on an Arbiter. Great, her turn meter boost is now a bit stronger. Her healing's a bit stronger, for example. Cool, nice budget option. The golden elixir is also really good. And oh, I should also mention these are standard relics. So whenever you craft any type of relic, there's a 50-50, it will be standard. So these will be the relics you get the most of. Golden elixir, really, really nice budget option as well for some survivability. Throwing this on an early game damage dealer to help them survive a little bit in faction wars against bosses, that sort of thing. It is a small bit of a help. Funny enough, although it has attack and accuracy, so it seems a bit more of an offensive relic, where this really gets strong is as a defensive relic. So on characters who have built tons of HP and tons of defense, it makes the healing much stronger because they have more HP to heal up. And then because they've got defensive stats, that HP is going to basically, you're reducing the damage you take from enemies, so it's more likely you can stay there. And with a regen set or some healing or stuff like that, if they can get back above 50% health, and you can trigger this multiple times because there's no cooldown on it, that's where this is particularly strong. So for example, maybe a Geomancer in regen set can make very strong use of the golden elixir. Bogoth is another classic example, who's very valuable at the golden elixir just to keep them alive and keep them ticking, and their passive just keeping the team alive. So yeah, golden elixir is great. Again, you could leave it just at 3-star on some damage dealers early on as a budget option. This is a relic that you could actually push up pretty high. You could take 1 or 2 of them maybe to 4-star, potentially even 5-star for some solo strategies. Like, for example, there was the Corrosa event dungeon before it was nerfed because it was too strong. Yeah, a bit. The strategy basically rotated around Geomancer with a really like a +15 golden elixir, or +18 if you could, but kind of couldn't at the time. But in theory, it would have been great. That was very useful there. But yeah, I think you could level up 1 golden elixir a bit further. I take it to the 4-star, potentially one of them up to +12. You could use it for food then in the future when you pull a better relic. But yeah, it's likely to be pretty decent. So this is a really good one. Not a big fan of the demonic effigy. It's an okay budget relic for revivers, but I actually, to be honest, I tend to lean a bit more towards the extra healing and turn meter from Journal of Necrotis. Depends on the reviver. If your reviver doesn't have any healing, this one's not bad. It's okay budget. And I think the Gilded Dragonstone is actually great for defense damage dealers. Definitely in longer fights, but you got the base defense and it's giving you stacking defense. It's a decent budget option. Ooh, sorry, I had to sneeze there. I paused it just on time. That was close. With this one, this also has one extra special use. There is one boss in the game where the amount of defense you have totally defines who it's going to target and what it's going to do. This relic is actually quite useful for that. Do you know what it is? It's Chimera Lion Form. So the Lion Form of the Chimera is going to try to target your highest defense member on your team. You can use the Gilded Dragonstone. Again, doesn't need to be very highly leveled. You could leave it at level 3 plus 9 is fine, but it will give you a nice defensive boost, and that can make a big difference. It can change the defense ordering of your team and then help you control who that line is targeting some more. So yeah, this is a relic. You're probably leaving this at plus 9. You could bring maybe one of them up to plus 12, and that will be okay. For the legendaries, because you're going to get these pretty commonly, I guess it's definitely worth noting Aspect of Siroth is excellent, mostly just for Arena, and particularly for champions with strong passive skills like White Queen Ancora. Brilliant example. Wand of Submission is absolutely god tier for Arena. It's one of the best relics because you're reflecting back all crowd control. So yeah, this is effectively amazing on every single champion in the game for PvP. Particularly for anyone who's placing debuffs, because it will reflect polymorph blessings back at people with polymorph blessing a decent chunk of the time. In the Chimera section, a few good budget ones in here. The ultimate budget relic is in here. Let's just go straight to it. It's the Arethi Coronet. If you're talking about best budget relics in the game, this is the one. This is it. It is absolutely nuts. Why is it so good? Basically, the reason it's so good, you get damage boost every time you place a debuff up to 30%. Now, that 30%, that works from rank, like, level 1 of the relic. You're getting that 30% damage bonus at maximum. Increasing the ranks only increases the rate at which you stack it up. This is a huge 30% more damage. Just straight up, you do 30% more. Is crazy. It's a massive damage boost, and you can get it super budget. This is a relic you can easily leave at level 3, so getting 3% damage boost every time you place a debuff. So after 10 debuffs, you're fully stacked. You don't need to push it higher. Like, it doesn't matter really about stacking it a little bit faster. That's stacking incredibly fast as it is. Like, imagine Faction Wars hard. There's 5 enemies in the wave. If you have an AoE decreased defense, that's 5 debuffs. Great, you're already half stacked at that point with one skill. If you've got 2 debuffs and you place them on 5 enemies, you're fully stacked, just like that, at plus 9. It's actually nuts. It's crazy. Again, for Hydra, you can stack this up very quickly. It's an insane damage relic. One sneaky trick you can do is obviously one of the biggest gemstones you can get for damage against bosses. So for Hydra, Chimera, I suppose Demon Lord, any boss, is Boss Slayer. This gemstone is crazy good. It's so premium. It is the big thing people are chasing every week from Ultra Nightmare Chimera. Did I get a Boss Slayer? Did I get a Boss Slayer? One sneaky thing, because it's a lot cheaper to move your epic relics than it is to move higher rarity ones, putting your Boss Slayer into a Arethi Coronet, and let's say you go, oh, I can't use Ninja this week against Chimera because it's Force Affinity. I have to use Harima. You can then swap your Boss Slayer, Arethi Coronet, over to your other damage dealer far cheaper than trying to move the gemstone around, because it's very expensive to extract a mythical gemstone. Yeah, you might not need to do that. It might not fit your account, but it can be a kind of a cool little strategy. I think Grim Reaper explained that one to me, or he was doing it. I thought that's a cool little strat. 2 other brilliant budget relics in here you're going to use a lot. Malefic Talon, again, I wouldn't put it past plus 9, but this is effectively a little crit damage stat stick with a triangle gem, which is a damaged gemstone. Simple, effective. The effect is pretty poor. Doesn't matter, right? You're only using this at low levels, and it's just giving you a chunk of extra crit damage, which is good on literally every type of damage dealer. Doesn't matter. Every damage dealer, apart from debuffers like poisoners or burners, I suppose. Any direct damage dealer scales off crit damage. They want to crit. So, yeah, it's brilliant. Just the general fits on any damage dealer. It's not special, but it's a little bit of a boost. Fantastic. And then the other one, I'm blocking it. The Molten Death Bell, really strong. This is one of the few relics with accuracy main stat. And that's for the main use. It's giving you a bunch of accuracy on your debuffers, which is really, really strong. It's particularly good if they have crowd control. So you definitely be aiming to get this one on people with these crowd control effects. Extra turn meter, incredibly nice, right? And it's what you want to do typically in Faction Wars Hard or Cursed City, Doom Tower waves, Grim Forest waves, anything. Get your crowd control champions cycling back through their turns so they can keep the crowd control on the entire time. This lets you do it. Really, really nice. Great budget one. I think the Tempest Sanguinis is kind of bad, and Diadem is kind of bad. Orbit Transfixion is not amazing. It's kind of useful for some places like Hydra or some Faction Wars hard bosses that put up reflect damage. Pretty nifty if you steal it off. Not too crazy. Scroll the Unseen is very complicated to use. And we won't talk about the legendaries. They're a bit tricky to get here. I think all the event groups, because they've been time limited, I'm not going to talk about them. I will say, generally speaking, the Forge Pass stuff is really, really strong. And that's going to be probably a recurring paid thing. So, yeah, there is that. Clan relics. These are mostly terrible. I say Black Shroud Fan, Fletch Render are all pretty terrible. Vulcanen's Grasp, extremely niche to perhaps one Chimera trial. We don't really talk about it. I'd say the big budget one here would be Inferno Sphere. Why is this so good? It is one of the very, very, very few relics with resistance main stat. And it gives you more resistance here as well. If you're trying to build a high resist character, mostly for PvP, but potentially for PvE as well, here you go. You got your epic relic. So it's one of the very, very few ways you can actually get that big resistance boost, which is super helpful. So it's definitely a budget relic that's worth considering. You might build one or two, depending on your builds. Only worth it if you're really hard stacking resistance, but it is cool. It's definitely worth knowing about. Live Arena, these are all pretty terrible. Draft Divire, Royal Digit, Moon Death, Orchid, Preserved Aberration, they're all pretty bad. I will say Preserved Aberration is worth noting. It's not awful for Xenomorph, who's currently, at time of recording, the free login champion. He puts out loads of poisons. He's going to ignore some more defense. It's really strong. So the issue with this is you've got the Arethi Coronet, which is it's just better. It is just better. So yeah, but this one's okay if you're putting out loads of poison. So someone like maybe Supreme Kale or Xenomorph, but there's lots of, again, you've got the Arethi Coronet, which is better. And you've got Arachnelixir, which we'll come to actually right now. So Faction Wars, these drop from Faction Wars hard, so you can get these maybe a year-ish into the game. I think, Faction Wars normal is so much easier now than it used to be. So it's always crazy to me how quickly people are clearing it and getting Lydia these days compared to where it was before. I mean, back in the day, it might have been 2 years of the game, a year and a half. Now loads of people getting it 8 months in and stuff like that. It's a massive difference. Yeah, it's crazy. Codex, nah. Arachnelixir, absolutely bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. I talked about it in my other video, so you can go watch that. But basically, you slap this on anyone with poisons, and they'll do crazy wave-based damage. Put it on someone with lethal dose in Arena, the Blessing, and yeah, Calvalax just kills everyone in Arena if they don't have Stone Skin or Mercurial Total Guard. So yeah, it's incredibly, incredibly strong. This one is ridiculous. I would consider it a budget relic in the sense that it turns, you can get it from your stronger factions, farming your stronger factions of Faction Wars hard, build up Arachnelixir, and then this can turn a poisoner in one of your weaker factions into a crazy damage dealer who can hard carry the entire faction. Like, I don't know, maybe you've got a Narma the Returned or a Tomb Lord or something in Knights Revenant, slap him with Arachnelixir, and wow, cool. All the waves are dead. Amazing. You just need to crowd control them so that they don't remove the debuffs, and you just melt through people. It's insanely, insanely good. Not any use against bosses, but ridiculous apart from that. Hurt Shadow, definitely a budget relic and absolutely incredible. It's like a mini Relentless set. Amazing. Chance to get an extra turn using your default skill if one active skill is on cooldown. Very, very strong. One kind of fun thing you could do, you could I don't know, let's say Farrakhan the Fat would be an interesting budget example, where if you do not need, for a boss, if you don't need his A2, the burn and the poisons, you just want his ally attack, you could have him just ally attack, turn off this move, and then there's a chance whenever he does his A1 to get an extra turn and cycle back to his big ally attack faster. There's some fun things you can do with that Pert Shadow, but it is amazing. It's like crazy good for basically... Even damage dealers could use it, but it's particularly good for supports, for debuffers as well, just to cycle through, make your buffs, your debuffs more consistent, your revivers. Almost anyone in PvE. It's very strong for PvP as well, though it is sort of overshadowed by Wand of Submission. But yeah, it's just one of the best relics in the game, and it's an epic, which is crazy. Hammer of Ending, pretty mid. And yeah, then we come to the Grim Forest. I think these are going to be some of the most accessible relics. You can get into Grim Forest normal. And because of the cards giving you stat bonuses, you're going to be able to start clearing that pretty consistently. And these are probably going to be some of the most plentiful relics in 2026 for people. Really good budget options. So first up, the Steel-Eyed Cutter. Amazing budget damage relic. Chance to ignore some defense. Again, you're not going to push this really past +9, so level 3. It's giving you attack, and it'll give you a little bit of crit damage and a chance to ignore some defense. Amazing. Great. Brilliant. Budget relic for any attack-based damage dealer. And that's probably what you're going to do, is try to get the Steelite Cutter onto your attack damage. Probably save your Malefic Talon for your HP or defense-based damage. And then put a Rethi Coronet on like your really top-tier damage dealers for PvE is probably what you're going to do. Maybe a Gilded Dragonstone on some defense if you've got that. But yeah, the Steelite Cutter, it's really, really nice. Again, it is a budget relic. There's far better options, but it's such a strong filler relic. It's going to give your attack damage a really solid boosted damage for basically for very, very cheap. The Hoarder's Cauldron. Similarly, for anyone applying debuffs, again, it's one of those main stat accuracy relics. Yeah, anyone applying debuffs? There you go. Simple. Tons of accuracy for very low cost. Not a relic you're going to push up to a high rank, but it's giving you a bunch of accuracy for essentially for free. Absolutely fantastic. Revolting Seedling, pretty rubbish. Wouldn't bother with that one. The Compass of Anaxia is, again, actually pretty okay for that resistance stat stick, and that's kind of what you're using it for. Just someone that you want lots of resistance on if you're trying to have a resistance check for a boss like Bommel, or for PvP as a budget option. I just need something with resistance on it for building a high resistance. I don't know, Lady Noelle or something. There you go. You've got it. And yeah, again, the others I would consider to be a bit more premium. But there you are. Hopefully that is helpful. So I would say the big ones to watch out for, Rethi Coronet is the absolute game changer. And then I would say look for some filler damage ones like the Malefic Talon or the Steelite Cutter. Other huge ones are Accuracy main stat, extremely helpful for doing your builds. Rarer, more niche, but still useful, the Resistance main stat for those as well. And then, of course, the Arachnolix or Pert Shadow are like, they're epic and rare, but these are effective. I mean, Arachnolix is almost a mythical relic in power. It's absolutely insane. And Pert Shadow is more like a legendary relic in power. They're kind of overtuned, to be honest. And yeah, there you go. Let me know what you think. What are the budget relics that you are using? Which do you find most helpful? Good thing is the standard group, again, apart Unholy Grail, Masquerade, Rod of Blasphemy are all absolute trash, right? But Journal and Golden Elixir are particularly decent, epic and rare ones. There's some nice accessible ones. You get lots of copies. They will help you out a chunk as well. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. I guess also quick mention, I suppose, for the gemstones, you got some really powerful ones. Invigorated is absolutely crazy. Turn meter boost effects on you are more effective. This is insanely good. It's super good. We obviously mentioned Boss Slayer is insane. If you're progressing in the game, if you get a Dungeon Delver, very helpful, and flinching can help as well. Target Finder is good for trying to boost up your accuracy. That's one that's worth mentioning. I think Pierce Defenses is incredibly useful. Very easy to get 2 debuffs on a boss, and it'll give you a nice damage boost. That one is worth mentioning. The squares aren't that good. I do like Strength Sap quite a bit for PvP, though. These ones over here, these are not particularly good either until you get to the legendaries, so nothing too budget there. And over here, I do quite like... No, not this one. Which one is it? Not this one. In for the Kill. I think this is quite good. This is quite good on damage dealers to get more turns. So they'd be some of the budget ones I would be pointing out there. I do think that Invigorated and Pierce Defenses are particularly good, and oftentimes can be better than like even the legendary and epic options in those particular gem slots. So there you go. Hopefully it's helpful. Like I said, let me know your thoughts on the relics. What are you using most? I can actually... Final thing. There's always so much info to share. Let me show you the equip stuff that I've got so you can see lots of Wands of Submission, highly ranked actually. I now have 3 Hallowed Hilts, believe it or not, though I've only got these recently. I haven't finished the gem sockets. One of this, but we look at the more budget ones. Lots of Wands, a few aspect of Siroth, a couple of Golden Elixir. Not too many, but I think I have 1 higher rank. Yeah, 1 higher rank on Geomancer. Couple of the Revived Totems, but not too much. Couple of these. Good few of those, and yeah, some filler. You see the defense damage dealers are wearing these. So there you are, and you can see lots of the budget Journal of Necrotis. Over here, a Rethi Coronet, Defining, accuracy boosting is nice. Bit of this for some damage. Another Rethi Coronet. Actually, should level that one up. And yeah, gives you a bit of a sense for what I'm actually using. You see Inferno Sphere, only 1 being used here. These not really being... I do have that on actually him, for whatever reason. Good few perched shadows, lots of arachnelixirs, even highly ranked one. Lots of arachnelixirs. Slightly amazing, the relic. And yeah, then just got some Grim Forest ones. They're not on anyone yet, but I'm sure I could find someone for Faction Wars to slap them on and upgrade them eventually one day with my whopping 8 Starstone. Woohoo. Right, there you go. That's everything. For real this time. Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.